Hey, what's up guys, it's your boy Richard, and today we are going to be looking at my entire collection of LEGO Speed Champions. I think I got a little bit of a problem. So if you guys saw my last Speed Champions collection video, you guys saw that it was a lot smaller than it currently is. This is not even all of it. I'll take a picture of the other wall so you guys can see it. As you'll see though, there is a Porsche 911 that is not Speed Champions. We're not going to be talking about that today because it's irrelevant to this. But this is basically just my part 2 to my collection. There are going to be some cars that I covered that I already covered in the first one, but because the collection has grown this much, I figured I would make a part 2 and see what I have to say about everything. So we're going to do the same thing we did last time. Left, right, left, right, left, right, and then I'll talk about the ones that are on the other wall. So first off, we have the Corvette Stingray. I believe this is a 1968. This car came in a double pack with the Corvette C8 Point R, and this actually ended up being my favorite of the 2-pack. Super old school car. A lot of people had complaints about the curvature of it and how it didn't really represent the original car all that well. I don't agree or disagree. I don't care about the original. This car looks phenomenal. Mclaren Elva. This one I got during the last season of the Speed Champions, and when I did that I actually got a VIP membership thing, so I put the blue guy in the blue car. Matches perfectly. It's not my favorite car. It's cool, but because it's a McLaren, it gives it some extra points, but I don't really know too much about an Elva, so you know, it's okay. Up next we have the Lotus Aviha, and I've talked about this car plenty of times recently just because the new Speed Champions did come out. Not a super memorable car. Like I've said in the past, the rear lights are really cool. I do like how they create that square shape, but I just don't know too much about the Lotus brand, so it never really struck me as super awe-inspiring. Up next, we have the Lamborghini Countach, which is also a car that came out very recently on March 1st, and it's a pretty cool car. I really love how identical it is to the real thing. Also, I forgot to mention this, and I think pretty much all of my videos having to do with it. These side panels, the way that you put them on is really cool. They basically just clip on and you move them into a specific curved position, and it looks really good. And those rear lights being just covered in white everywhere, really cool. I love this car. Up next, we have what I believe to be the Ferrari F8 Tributeo. I could be completely wrong, but I think that's what this is. This is a car that I got. I believe this is from the 2020 series, and I had gotten into Speed Champions during 2021. So I literally just picked this up to complete my collection for, you know, what they had at the time and not have to purchase it when it's a retired set. So it's a cool car. I like the look of it, but it's not a favorite. If you guys know anything about me, I'm not that big fan of Ferraris. Some are cool, some are whatever. And speaking of Ferrari, this right here is the 1970 512M. This is an old school car. It's considered a classic. I love the singular cockpit. It kind of gives the illusion that this car is wider than it actually is, and I actually love the look of this car. This is my favorite Ferrari that I have, which is kind of a spoiler because we've only gotten into the second Ferrari out of many. This is the Ford Bronco. I really love this car. Out of all the cars that I have, I think it's like my 3rd or 4th favorite. It's huge, and there's loose tires. If you take the top off, you can bring the tires out. I'm not going to do that because I don't want to pick them up when they end up dropping on the floor. But this is definitely one of my favorites. Love this car. Up next, we have the Audi Quattro. This is a car that also came in the 2020 set. Very similar to the F8 Tributeo. I didn't see anything about it that I really loved. I just got it to complete the collection and not have to buy it when it becomes a retired set. So it's, in retrospect, it's a really cool car, and actually the build process was really fun. I do remember certain things about this. It's not the ugliest car, but it's charming because of, I guess, its age, which is me admitting something that I didn't think I felt. The Lamborghini Urus. This build was amazing because if I remember correctly, there is no chassis. It's just bricks and bricks and bricks, and then you build on top of those bricks, and it's nice and dense and heavy. It's I know a lot of people were complaining that when they put out the 2 Lamborghinis, being the Huracan and the Urus, they were upset that they didn't just do a Huracan and like an Aventador or some other hypercar. But I'm actually really glad that they took this route because I have a million cars that look just like a Huracan or just like a McLaren or you know, the supercar type. I love having something that's different, which is kind of why I'm regaining feelings for the Quattro. but I don't know. I think SUVs are kind of my thing. And speaking of SUVs, we have the Jaguar SUV. I do not remember the name of this. I'm looking around the car to see if I can get any kind of name to pop up. Back here it does say E-Trophy. So if this is the Jaguar E-Trophy, that would make sense. I don't really know too much about electric vehicles to begin with. So this is a cool car though. I do really like the look of it and the shape. I know that in comparison to the real car, these don't look similar at all, but still, I really like it for what it is. Up next, we have one of my very first cars that I got. This is the Nissan Gt-R. This is the Nismo edition where, you know, it's got the body kit. This and my McLaren Senna were the two first cars that I ever bought, and they're the reason why I've spent so much money on this. This is a really, really cool car, and if at the time I had known what the building process was for a lot of cars, I would have been more amazed at what this car was at the time. When I first made this car, I just figured that this was the standard for every car. I didn't know the difference between a 6 wide and an 8 wide or anything like that, so when I had the McLaren, I was like, why is this so much smaller? I guess maybe in real life they would be that shape, I don't know. So, you know, at the time, I didn't know what I had, but now that I've gained more knowledge about Speed Champions, I can say this is one of the probably not only coolest, but most attractive cars that they've put out. All right, up next we have the Ferrari F40, and a really cool thing about this car is I used to play a game called Forza Horizon 4, and they had put out a Lego DLC for the Speed Champions, and this was one of the first cars that you get to play with in that game. So I had known what Speed Champions were. I would go to the stores and I'd see them and whatever. Never actually bought one until I finally picked up the Senna, which is also in that game, and the Nissan Gt-R, which is just a car that I like. So when I finally found this car in stores, I was like, yeah, I gotta buy that. Of course I was gonna buy it regardless to fill up the collection, but this is a really, really nice car, and I love it just for the classic feel. Up next, I'm not even gonna lie, I can't even remember what this car is called. This is a Ferrari, I don't know, I think it's a GTO something. This is a Scuderia car, Scuderia Corsa. I thought this is a GTO, so I'm not too sure exactly what this is called, but this I actually bought as a retired set. I have a couple of cars that were retired sets, but we'll get into that. So I bought it for more money than it would have been when it first came out, but I just did it because it was a cheaper car, since I guess maybe not too many people cared about this car. So yeah, I really like this one. And the more of a certain car that I have, the more I love that type of car, so having another Ferrari amongst all the Ferraris I already have makes me like those Ferraris more. Then I've got the McLaren P1. No, I don't have a McLaren P1. This is the McLaren, do I have a P1? Yeah, this is a McLaren, I'm stupid. This is a McLaren P1. I also got this as a retired set, so obviously I spent a lot more money on this car than I would have if I had just bought it when it was brand new. I'm gonna stop saying that now. If I say retired set, you know what I mean. And I wanted the McLaren P1 so badly because there was a Need for Speed game that I used to play where the McLaren P1 was the meta in the game. It was the best, and it has been in a lot of games that it's been featured in, so I just had to get it. Up next, we have the McLaren 720. Every time I take a look at this car, I feel like it's missing something since there's no wing. It's really weird feeling. I don't like the shape of this car all that much. As I'm sure a lot of you guys know, 6 wide is back when these were considered more as toys, not necessarily display pieces. As they got into 8 wide, they started to make them look like they were designed for a more mature audience as display pieces. So this, I don't get the McLaren 720S feeling from at all, but I got it just because it's a McLaren, and I do really like McLarens. Up next, we have the Camaro Nascar. This is not a car that I would have gotten if it was a retired set, so that means that I did buy it when it was still available. There's not too much that I like about this car. Really, the only cool thing that I can say about it is that this was the first car in the Speed Champions world to have the tire covers that pop off to make it seem like, you know, it's a bigger rim than it actually is. So that's the one cool thing that it's got going for it, but aside from that, I'm not a big fan of NASCAR, so even though it's cool and it gets to be a part of this huge collection, it's not one of my favorites. Up next, we have what was a retired set that I purchased, a 6 wide Ford GT. And I have to say, seeing this and then seeing an 8 wide GT, it makes all the difference in the world. I really appreciate having this car in my collection just to see the difference in 6 wide versus 8 wide. This is a really cool looking car, but it's not it just shows you how much freedom Lego creators have when they're able to actually put more Legos into it. So I love this car, but it don't look right. Up next, we have what I think is probably my most attractive 6-wide Lego Speed Champions car. I bought this as a retired set. This is the Mercedes-Benz Amg Gt3, and I love this car so much. I'm sure that I have the bumper somewhere. I found it. So I mentioned this in the last one, but I can take off this bumper and I can put this bumper on. Let's see if I can just do that quickly. See, it comes out. I'm not going to put on the other one just because the one that I originally have on it is the one that I prefer, and I don't feel like fidgeting with it right now, but yeah. This is a beautiful car. Mercedes-Benz always looks so good in Lego. Up next, we have another 6-wide, not Mercedes-Benz, Ford GT. This Ford GT actually came in a double pack with the other Ford GT, the blue and red one. And of course, that does mean that this is a retired set, since I said the other one was a retired set. I really like the look of this car. It feels so retro, even though I believe this car came out in like 2005. Guys, it's me on my break, and I just realized that the black Ford GT 6-stud that I thought was from 2005 is from 1966. So it's not that old, but it looks like it's that old. Up next, we have a Dodge Charger. In my last collection video, I told you guys that this car very much reminds me of Don's car from Fast and the Furious, and I still hold true to that. Unfortunately, there was a piece that you could put so that you could take the engine out and you could put a piece on it to make it a flat nose. I don't know what happened to that piece. It's gone. I prefer it to look like this anyways, but I like to keep all the accessories that they give you. But I love this car for that main specific reason. Kind of builds character in a car that maybe wasn't supposed to have that character. Up next, we have the Ford Fiesta. Maybe it's the MSRT, I don't know. You might be thinking, why would you pick this car up? And by the way, this was a retired set when I bought it. It was only like 20 or 30 bucks. And when it originally came out, it would have been $15. So you might be thinking, well, why did you buy it? I, in real life, drive a Ford Fiesta, so this was just very fitting. And I really like it. It's cool. Up next, we have one of the first cars that I ever bought. This is the McLaren Senna. The build process for it is so far gone in my memory, I can't even remember it, but the Nissan, I do remember really well. But this one, I don't like how fidgety the spoiler is. Anytime I mess with it, I ended up, popping it off or something like that. Really cool car. The Senna is a car that I've played with in many racing games, and I love it, so I'm glad that it's here. Up next, we have the Hellcat. This, when I bought it, was also a retired set, so I had to get it just because... Wait, was it? I have so many cars that I can't remember if this was a retired set or not. I know that this came with the Dodge Charger, so I want to say it wasn't a retired set because I think I remember picking these up together at a store and not just by themselves. I don't know. This makes me feel like it was a retired set, but regardless, this is a car that I love. Hellcats, demons, they're all great. No, this is supposed to be a demon, but yeah, beautiful. Up next is the Porsche 911. The funny thing is, since my last collection video, I've gained a new appreciation for the Porsche 911. In the first video, I talked about how it was, other people were saying how it was so cool and this and that in the building process. I personally don't remember much from the building process aside from the headlights because I remember those being really weird to get in there, and I like that a lot. But as time has gone on, I've realized, similar to the Countach, just how similar this actually looks to the real life thing, and that makes me love it. Oh, and that backlight is incredible. So yeah, new appreciation for it. All right, up next we have the Aston Martin Valkyrie, which is one of the cars that just came out on March 1st. Out of all of the cars that I have that are, there's nothing crazy special about them, as in they're not super big or whatever, this is my favorite car. It tops the Bronco, but it doesn't top two cars that I have yet to talk about. This is an amazingly beautiful car. Like, I can't get over it at all. And it's so big too. That's why I think I love it so much. And that lime green color with the red and the black, it's so cool. So earlier I was talking about that Mercedes-Benz Amg Gt3 looking so good. This is the Mercedes-Benz Amg Project One, but instead of being a 6-wide, this car is an 8-wide. The only thing with this car is, in my opinion, I don't think it looks very much like the real car, but the car that it makes itself look like in Lego form, I think looks better than the real car. And that's not just a bias because I own this car and I do not own an actual Project One. It's just, that's truly how I feel. There's a hair on this. I just really love the way that this car looks, and the grille that it's got that says AMG looks stunning. All right, this is the Aston Martin Vantage. This came in a double pack with the Aston Martin Valkyrie, which came out on March 1st. And out of the two cars, I actually did believe that this was going to be the car that I liked more, just because the Valkyrie is there's just so much going on. It's big and crazy looking, and it's green. This is more sleek. It's calmed down. It's more mature, if you will. But maybe I'm not as mature as I thought, because this does not look as good as the Valkyrie. However, I still really love the way that this looks, and they killed it. Up next, we have the Koenigsegg Aguero. As I said in my last collection video, my favorite car, and this is still to this day true, is the Koenigsegg Aguero Rs. And this car, every Koenigsegg looks the same. The Koenigsegg Aguero looks a lot like the Koenigsegg Rs. And I just really wish that there were more Koenigsegg's in the Speed Champions category. Hopefully we'll get one soon. But I can kind of understand why maybe they're not doing it. It's just because they all do kind of look the same, aside from a couple that stand out, like the Regera or some of the old ones like the CCX. Up next, we have the Corvette C8 Point R. Earlier I did talk about this car because I said that when it came to the 1968 Stingray, I thought that this was going to be my favorite out of the two, but that ended up taking the cake. Originally, my feelings were the Stingray beat this by a mile, but now, even though I still believe that the Stingray is better looking, I still really love the way that this car looks. So I wouldn't say that the Stingray is beating it out by a mile, but it's still ahead, just a little more. Up next, we have, well, there's green and red now. I was going to say the best color combination in LEGO Speed Champions history, but I think that's been overthrown with the Valkyrie. But still a really cool color combination, and the Huracan is one of my favorites. The car itself is a Lamborghini Huracan, and I love it. It's so cool. I love the wing, the splitter right here. Everything about it is just so nice. And of course, now we have the reason why I was talking about the 6-wide Ford GT, the 8-wide Ford GT. Beautiful. This actually looks like the real thing. It's perfect. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's as good as it's gonna get, and I love it. I wish it did have a spoiler in the back, but I'm okay with what I have. All right, up next we do have that Toyota Supra. Absolutely beautiful. That long hood gets me every time. I talked about that in my last collection video. I don't want to keep recycling words, but these were my opinions then. Some of these opinions are still mine now. The long hood on this is just so satisfying for some reason. I love the way this car looks. Up next, we have a car that I'm going to be making a video on pretty soon. This car did just come out on March 1st, and I had a lot of harsh words to say about it just because it gave me such a tough time. A lot of these stickers were in places that were obnoxious, and I messed up on the build process, and I had to take apart a whole bunch of pieces, try to make it mirror to the other side, and I am talking about one of these sides right here. I had to make it mirror the other side, and just the whole thing, I felt like I was wasting time. It took me like 10 minutes to put it all back together. And then on top of that, we got a sticker right here that says Epson. And when I looked in the footage, I found out that I was not given the other sticker. So it wasn't human error, but I still don't have the sticker. But I'm getting a sticker sheet soon. Up next, we have the Jaguar E One Car. This is going to sound horrible, I'm sure, but I think that this E1 car looks better than this F1 car, hands down. I'm not a big fan of F1, so I don't know much about the person who drives this car or what that car has done in history, but this E1 car, it's mostly just in the back. The fact that these two humps are right here, and it's got these wings that come to the humps, and the middle portion, and it's skeletonized through the center. It's just a better looking car, I think. But again, I'm not that into E1 or F1 as is. So I'm going to keep the camera here, and I'm going to grab the cars that are a little more difficult to grab because I don't want to move everything, not to mention this is right above my desk, which is currently a mess. So give me one sec. Okay, the easiest car to grab would be the Dodge Challenger, I want to say. Beautiful car, purple. I don't have a single other car that is purple. So the difference in color when it comes to all the rest of my collection makes this stand out a lot, and I love that about it. Up next, we have the Dragster, and this is my second favorite car in my collection. So if I said that the Valkyrie was my favorite aside from the other ones, that means that it takes third, this takes second. This thing is huge, and that's why I love it. Just, it stands out so much. This engine is beautiful. The wing is gigantic. These wheels, the whole thing, it's great. Okay, next we're gonna do 2 in 1 just because there's not too much to say about this. I have the Polybag Elva, which is cool because I already have the regular Elva. And then I have the Polybag Huracan, which is for the same reason cool. So thought I'd show these off. All right, up next I have the F1 Scuderia. If you know what set this comes from, you know what's about to come up. I don't care about this car. It completes a set. Is it a cool looking car? Yeah. Do I care? No, not for what's to come. All right, this is first place. This takes the cake. This is my favorite LEGO Speed Champions car that I have. Back in the day, this would have cost you $50. I purchased this on Bricklink for $200, and I do not regret a single bit of it. The front does come off, and it reattaches to itself like so. The back can open up, which is very difficult to do right now, but just showing you. And then we've got the sides, which also open up as well. Beautiful car. I absolutely love it. The F1 car is cool, but it's the fact that it completes this set that makes me, well, I guess love the F1 car. But yeah, this is first place. I love this thing. All right, guys, that has been my entire LEGO Speed Champions collection. If you did enjoy, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I am really afraid that in 6 months, the collection is going to grow as much as it did last time. I really doubt that, just because the last time I did this, I didn't have every car that was available at the time. I was still trying to get all the cars aside from the retired sets. And then once I got all the cars that were available, that's when I started to get into the retired sets. And I don't get retired sets as often as I would the ones that were available to me, just because they're a lot more expensive. It takes a long time to ship. I do one day in a couple of years, or whatever the case may be, want to be able to have every single Speed Champions that is available to the public, because there is a Mercedes-Benz that is listed on Bricklink for like, I think $1,300, but that's because it was given to the people who had worked on an F1 car for an F1 series. So that's unobtainable, but this is what I have. One day it'll grow. I'll make another collection video. It's probably going to be in like a year, because it's going to take a long time to grow it enough to where I feel like I need to make another collection video. Like I said before, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you did enjoy, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.